And on today's show, the performance factor, part 5 of this week's series on the advisor's pathway to freedom with Charter Life underwriter and creator of Cotton Systems, Wayne Cotton. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to Backroom Technician and Insmart. Let's get down to business. Well, welcome to the show, Wayne. Day 5.
Yeah,
you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I love it.
Well, I welcome you to the whole world of Wayne's World here. Usually it's Savant's world, but we're talking about Wayne's World, and we're talking today about the principle. This performance is an issue, and I keep thinking, I'm back to yesterday's attraction marketing where I'm going, I know, 2,500 leads. What a great job, Steve. And you're going, what? That's really hurting you. It's not helping you. It's like I'm changing my mindset because performance I thought was like, hey, I just pushed 2,500 people through my practice this year. And you're saying, yeah, but they didn't fit my profile.
You know, we've talked about 4 principles before this one, right? Getting clarity of your purpose. You want the money freedom, you want the time freedom, you want the freedom to grow, you want career satisfaction, clarity of profile, knowing exactly what your best case scenario looks like so that you know, you understand your sweet spot. By the way, you reprofile every year. Mm-hmm. You don't just go there once. You reprofile every single year. And with profiling, it's like you walk into a room, there's a dartboard on one wall, and you get good at throwing darts at that dartboard, and you start hitting it more and more all the time, right? And then the next year, now you got the skill of throwing darts. You got the skill of the process, right? And so you take that dartboard, you put up a new one, because now you reprofile, you got your new best case scenarios. Now you got the skill, and you're doing more business all the time, right? You can grow your business very substantially every single year. It doesn't have to go up and down and around at all. It can go up and up and up by this concept. So then the next thing, of course, is your program that you deliver. So that's going to adapt and flow and grow over a period of time. And then you've got your process of knowing your steps. And your process, you know, once you get locked in your process, sure, there'll be some tweaks and adjustments, but your process will be really much the same. I mean, I believe that I could go back in the field now after 18 years, after selling my practice and now working with advisors all the time. I think I could go back in the field, parachute me in almost any city. I think I'd be back to the top of the table within 3 years at least. At least at that level. Maybe I could do it in 2. Yeah, absolutely. But by understanding this stuff, right? Now we come to the last principle, which is performance. So performance is understanding your process well enough that you can pick out the key performance indicators in that process. You don't have to manage everything. I watch people, you know, dialing for dollars and, you know, measuring how many dials they made. You know what? You drive yourself crazy doing that kind of stuff. You don't need to do that. You look at the key performance indicators. What are the things in my formula, the things in my business process, what's in my business model, because that's really what you've been building here is your business model. So you look at the key factors in your business model to say, okay, what are the drivers in here? So once you identify those drivers, they're the key performance indicators. You need to stay on top of those. And so, like, one of the things that we teach people is to use a process we call CARE, Cotton Activity Results Engine. Well, what CARE does is it not only helps measure those key performance indicators, but it also gives diagnostics so that people can see exactly where they can improve or where they're off formula or whatever, so that it becomes very scientific. I've often said that, you know, this isn't rocket science, it's cotton science. Mm-hmm. It's just a scientific methodology of growing a business and growing a better life. And so when it comes down to performance, then these key performance indicators are critical. Now, but there's another factor in here as well. That other factor is your 90-day strategy. That's really about performance. Mm-hmm. Because with your 90-day strategy, what you're doing, I have a process at No Brown Days called 90-Day Wonder. Mm-hmm. And it's about having a wonderful period of time every 90 days for the rest of your life. How do you do that? Well, you got to plan it. And so you take your color-coded calendar, you now fine-tune it for this particular quarter, and then you got a list of no more than 20 projects that you're going to complete in the next quarter. Some of those might be, I'm going to do certain levels of activity. So maybe you want to have a total of 24 opening interviews. Maybe the number as a younger advisor might be, 64 or whatever, right? But whatever the number is that applies to your stage and level of growth at the present time. And so you have these, that's a project. And you want to get 100% on that project. So you put that down as a project, and in the next 90 days, you're going to keep looking at this 90-day wonder to see what you want to get accomplished in the next 90 days. That's a part of performance, is being able to say, I wanted 100% of that, I got 100% of that, or I wanted 100% of that, and I only got 42%, et cetera, of knowing where you're breaking down what you're doing. You mentioned something earlier, and that was about some people will get choked up about the overhead. Oh yeah, now he's going to delegate, and now we've got to bring in other people and create overhead. My experience has been that for every $30,000 I spent in overhead, I generated another 100. That's been my experience. So if I need somebody to help me with something that allows me to focus on what I do best and better than somebody else can do, then I have a problem investing in it. You always got to be careful. You never want your overhead to be more than 35% of your business. Like, it should run between 25 and 35% of your business. But assuming that you're within that range, then there's not a problem with bringing other people on board. But the key is when you have your process clear, you can say, okay, your job is going to be steps number 4, 9, 13, 22, and 36. And you make up a job description. You recruit to that job description. So you find people that can do that, right? You say, here, we operate as a tandem team around here. We have a flowing business process. We operate as a tandem team. Your job is these particular steps here. And so somebody's going to hand off something to you. You're going to do that, put it back into the cycle again, and we keep on going. So all you need to know is what you need to do, right? And how to hand it off. So you got your process clear. Now your performance becomes clearer because you got people now who know what they're supposed to be doing in your process. And there's nothing wrong with having some overhead, but you just don't want to get it extreme.
When we come back from the break, we're going to talk more about performance because this is a really edgy area that you're addressing right now. We'll be right back in 30 seconds. It's not how much money you make for your clients, it's how much money they get to keep, especially in retirement. But retirement income could cause Social Security benefits to be taxed. One tax advantage alternative is life insurance designed as a non-modified endowment contract that can generate tax-free income without taxing Social Security benefits. These contracts offer differing funding options depending upon your client's risk tolerance. For more information on how life insurance can be part of your retirement planning, just email me at steve@downtobusiness.tv. Brought to you by Ash Brokerage, the practice enhancement company. Welcome back to our second segment. We're with Wayne Cotton. And Wayne, you talked about your 90-day wonder. Why don't you walk me through that? That sounds pretty cool.
Well, there's an old expression from the insurance and financial business about somebody being a 90-day wonder. They come in, they fly high, crash and burn, they're gone in 90 days. And you say, oh, that's a 90-day wonder. Well, that's a pretty negative connotation. And at one point, I was trying to build a 90-day calendar. This was back in 91. I was trying to build a 90-day calendar that would help me with performance. And so I got toying with it, and I was meeting with an old buddy of mine, and I was telling him about my 90-day calendar, and I said, I'm trying to figure out what to call it. And I said, I've been thinking about different things. He says, you ought to call that a 90-day wonder. And I said, 90-day wonder? That's a negative term. Not to me, it isn't. And he'd been a bachelor for many years. He had a number of 90-day relationships. He said, 90-day wonder? It's fabulous, Wayne. Gary eventually got caught, and I was MC at his wedding, and there's a picture of him and his wife and 4 of his previous 90-day wonders all in arm, like he just nice guy, whatever. Anyway, the name stuck, 90-day wonder. Says if you know what you want, you can say no to what you don't want. So you create one of these each quarter. So you take your annual roadmap, and under the first P, under purpose, now you condense it and fine-tune it here in the colored calendar. So that means that you're going to rework it here to the things that are happening in the current quarter. You're going to take a look at when the kids are out of school, and in my case, I love going to drag races. So when I was on the road a lot, I'd get the listing where the drag races are. I'd put them down. And so I could make my calendar adjust to what I wanted, right?
Okay, I'm still freaking out that I have Wayne Cotton on here and he's talking, I'm into drag racing. So, okay.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
So anyway, bottom line is you figure out what you want from a time calendar first. Then you go to your project calendar. So here's the projects you want to do, and you got those projects all outlined here. So you want to do a performance review. That's what you do every 90 days. What did we accomplish in the last 90 days? Then you look at your present issues. What are our present issues? And the list, when you look at the past 90, there's some things still undone, so now the list is going to expand. You look at the present issues, and this is open forum, like you and your team and whatever, like you talk about what are our present issues, what's preventing us from moving forward. And so we make a list of those, and then we lay out our quarterly strategy. So what's the past 90 days, the present issues, the next 90 days. So we lay out our quarterly strategy, and everybody does. So each staff member, each team member has it, and you'll notice that it has blue sky up here, what we want to do. Maybe we want to bring on a new team member or build a web strategy or whatever. Green machine, we got a certain number of activities that are going to lead to results. This is the money part of it, right? These are the activities that are going to lead to results in terms of revenue. And so maybe it's so many prestige auctions you want to set as part of precision marketing talk. You want to schedule so many previews, you want to open up so many prospect situations. This would be more of an advanced advisor, right? We're talking about the advanced version. Maybe you want to bring in 15 new clients in the quarter, and that's, for some people it might be 15 new clients in a year. So it all depends on these are your numbers, right? It's what you want to do. You make a list of what you want to accomplish. This one here, you can only get 50% of that one done, and maybe you only get 50% of the new format for client segmentation. I call gapping your files, growth, active, and passive. It's different than regular client segmentation. But whatever, you got your project here you want to get done. At the end of the quarter, you can go down and you can measure what you think what you did get done, right? Mm-hmm. And it's really cool to look at your final score. Now, I even put personal things on here. It says, Brenda, 10 dates in the quarter. It says weekly gab with the kids, daily dad gab. You know, my dad was 85 years old. I decided to want to have a daily dad gab with my dad. I put that right on my 90-day wonder. I want to talk to my dad every single day. He was living in a seniors facility. I would go over and saw him every night at 9 o'clock. We had our daily dad gab. You know, he loved it. He didn't know it was my project. He loved it, but so did I. Mm-hmm. You know what? He lived 99 years, 9 months, and 9 days.
Wow.
Not bad for a guy that was born on the 9th day of the 9th month of 1909. True story.
Wow.
Isn't that something? So I'm a niner, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, bottom line is, I did this for the rest of my dad's life. Mm-hmm. When he passed away, man, I had no regrets whatsoever. I mean, it was phenomenal, the relationship I had with my dad. Why? Because the first time I put it down, it was a project. The second time, it was a habit. The third time, I didn't have to put it down again because it was a ritual. It was built right into my very fabric. Okay, so what you do is you lay out the things here that you want. It might be exercised so many times or whatever, but you got that on, and this drives the train for the next 90 days. As I said before, I used to spend 5 days at the beginning of each quarter with my team working out the strategy for the quarter.
Wayne, how long have you been doing this?
Since 91.
So I mean, we're talking 20-some plus years.
A lot of years, yeah.
Now, with people that are participating in in a lot of your workshops over, how many of your people, give me some of your veterans, how they've been into this, 10 years, 15 years, how long have they been doing this?
Well, I started publishing this right away after probably the second time I did one, I said, okay, I gotta deliver this to people. So the people have been doing this since the early 90s. The annual roadmap, people have been doing that since the early 80s.
So I mean,
I've been doing this for
consistent.
a long time. Yeah. I mean, I could wallpaper a wall that shows my life on one wall in a room.
When you're asked by MDRT, top of the table, places to speak in our industry, are these the things they want you to talk about?
I've talked about the annual roadmap in 2 main platform presentations at Roundtable. I talked about it in my top of the table session last year, including the 90-day wonder. Yeah, I talk about this stuff because this is so critical. I mean, people, once they get clarity, this is all about clarity. That's what these principles are all about. It's about clarity. It's about clarity of your purpose and your profile, your program, your process, and your performance standards, your KPIs. And once you get clarity of all those things, all of a sudden you can find that you can accomplish so much more. And this isn't like you got to stop and take a major coaching program for 3 years to get ready to get started. It's not like that, okay? It's like, what are we gonna do right now? Like these people that came to my 3-day workshop in BC, my goodness, I talked to them all about 12, 13 days later. I said, what have you accomplished so far? Man, they're telling me a list of all the things, the decisions they've made so far. There's a book out now called Essentialism. It's about getting right down to the essence of the matter. And in Essentialism, the guy says, you know, if you can make one decision that's going to prevent you from having to make 500 or 1,000 more because that one decision now is important, wow, think of all the time and energy and effort that saves. For me, is it motorcycling or golf? I made that decision, you know, when I was probably 35 years old. I chose motorcycling, not golf. When I built out our home, I've got a compartment there for 2 golf carts, but there's none in there. You know why? Because I'm now 67. I'm not golfing. I have no desire to golf. I made one decision back then. It was motorcycling, and I motorcycle a fair amount. I made that decision, and that decision overrode a bunch of other decisions, right? So know what you want, so you can say no to what you don't want. All you golfers, sorry about that. But I think this is really important that, you know, understand exactly what it is that you want, and then all this other stuff, all these all these emails that come in your inbox, man, you can unsubscribe to tons of stuff that has nothing to do with where you're at. It's just wasting your mental energy and your time. All these marketing campaigns that are coming out all the time, and all the things that, I mean, your inbox is jammed all the time. I know that. The worst thing you can do is go into your office in the morning and open up your email. That's the worst thing you can do, right? Because you're going to spend the next 90 minutes or maybe even 2 hours scouting around, checking this, and on another website, you're doing that. Next thing, you're subscribing to something, and now your whole mind is chocked full of stuff. You can't think clearly when you got that going on. Like, you got to get focused. 5 principles of growth: clarity of purpose, profile, program, process, and performance. I'm going to wrap this up with one final thing that people can do. I normally do this in my precision marketing approach online events, right? But I'm also going to send you to another website. It's called mycapabilitygap.com. You know, I believe we grow through goals or gaps. Goals is where we set a plan. You know, this is design growth. We set a plan. We're going to figure out where we're going to go, what we're going to do, and we lay out our plan, and away we go, right? Default growth is what happens when you're going in one direction. Boom! All of a sudden, you're way over in left field here somewhere, and you're saying, "Who am I? And now what do I do? And where do I go from here?" Right? We all get default growth. My strokes were default growth. I learned I had a gap, a health gap. I thought I was perfectly healthy. I was exercising all the time. I had a gap. And then I realized, of course, I got a health gap. When I investigated, it was a sleep gap, sleep deprivation. When I investigated further, it was a thinking gap because I had a busy mind, busy all the time, no rest. So gap factor is important. Now I'm going to send you to the website called mycapabilitygap.com. My Capability Gap is a place where you can go and you can download a worksheet and you can download a class, a recorded class that I did for you. There's no charge for this. Download the worksheet, download the class. And having listened to all these things that I've been talking about now in your program this past week, think about these principles, think about what I've taught you, and complete the Capability Gap exercise. It's going to open your mind to a whole new world. And you're going to realize that you can do multiples of what you're doing right now. You can do it in less time, you can have more fun, and it's amazing what you can do. So mycapabilitygap.com.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Remember, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always consult your tax advisor, legal counsel, or your broker-dealer compliance officer. Missed an episode? Just hop onto our video archives. And remember, you could be wiser as an educated advisor. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you next week.